Hey everybody, we're continuing with our deck rebuild here in our pergola construction project. Today I want to show you a new product that we're going to use for this particular pergola. It's called the TOPS system. That's TOPS for Titan Omni-Positional Structural Connectors. Very cool system, completely modular. Comes in the most common part is a tri-top, which is a welded assembly. Obviously you've seen these for corner posts. This is your sort of the fundamental building block that we'll use. It also comes with a post base. I'm going to show you how that works because it can go on hard surfaces as well as with our deck foot anchor, so you can install it on the ground. Very cool feature. Now, another thing you can do with this system that you can't do with other systems is you can add on to this as you want. So this is a common post sleeve, and you'll notice there's little tabs here on the side of the king post, and these tabs fit in like so, and then there's another tab folded over here which lines up with these little tiny pre-drilled holes. You just lever this in position and then drive in a screw, and you can literally turn a tri-top into a tetra-top, that's 4, or add another one on, that's 5, that would be a pentatop. You can also, if you want, depending upon what your needs are, you can buy a king post separately and then add a common post on that makes it a unitop. You can put one in a 180-degree run, that makes it a bitop. So total flexibility, really cool product. Now, one of the best things about this is that you can use this post base here with our deck foot anchor because it has a standoff here that's 2.5 inches tall. That allows the drive head of the auger to sort of live in here. And with the large load plate, you can move this post anywhere you want to get it all squared up with every other post. So you can install the augers and not be perfect. And truthfully, it's tough to get 4 perfectly square installations with the deck foot anchor. So this allows you to do that very easily. You then screw through the tabs here into the load plate, and then you're off to the races, and you can finish it off with one of our metal post skirts. It's a snap fit metal post skirt, galvanized as well. Everything's galvanized. Very beautiful system, very flexible. You're going to love it. Let's get started. All right, so we have assembled the rooftop so far. What we did is we made sure that the horizontal members were cut at the exact length. So for our 8-foot sections, we measured 96 inches and we trimmed those 6x6s. Same thing with the 10-foot pieces, we trimmed them to 120. So that when we put them into the tri-tops, we know what the total length should be. And we push those in, we get them all the way, and we drop one screw in each corner. You get a bit of a parallelogram. So you lay it where you want it to be, and then we square it from corner to corner diagonal. We've got this right down to 171.25 inches on both diagonals. So this is like spot on. Now we're going to put the rest of the screws into these connectors, and we will then begin lifting up one side and putting in the legs, putting in the posts on one side and then the other side. Once that's done, we again have to square everything because you want to make sure everything's perpendicular. But it is coming along and it's going to be beautiful. Okay, we've finished installing the pergola, the main structure. We've secured it on the deck and we've squared it. Important, we've plumbed each post so it is in the final position that it should be. Now we're just going to go around and we're going to put these post skirts around the base to cover up the screws and the flanges. Let's go do it. This is what I would call an axle hub assembly. So the axle of this little slat that holds in this case, a 5/4x6 deck board. You can use composite board if you want, or anything of that dimension. It fits on here like so. It's screwed in place, and then it fits together in this assembly, and it turns, and you can adjust it. We're going to run these vertically. And this is going to provide a really elegant backdrop to provide privacy, because you can see we're kind of packed in here in this neighborhood. There's not a lot of trees. And this beautiful little place, this outdoor living space, is going to be so much more cozy and intimate if we can put vertical louvers here that you can just tweak as you wish. So they're going to be framed between this 4x4 cross piece, as you can see here. that's about 4 inches off the deck. And we're going to set the upper hubs assemblies right in the center of this 6x6. We'll do that process. We'll show you how it works, and we're gonna have some fun. Let's get going. So what I'm gonna do here with this template is I've folded it along this upper line here, which is designed for the width of a 6x6. So you can see I'm going from a 6x6 to a 4x4, difference in width, but I still want to be on the center line. So I'm gonna bend this outer line here, and that's gonna put me right in the center of the 6x6. So I'm just gonna use a little masking tape. So now the trick here is we're going to install all these little hub assemblies right in here like so. We're going to install them all, screw them all in, and then we're going to remove one side so that when we put the slats in, the decking boards that have the slats on it, these slats can go into the hubs on one side, and then we put the hubs on the other side loose, and we align it with the holes so we know it's perfect. Can't screw up, and just screw it in. Everything will go quick, but this is just the preparation. Now you'll notice that I'm installing these vertically, upside down. It's probably the most difficult way you would do it. Normally it's horizontal for a roof application. But there's a little feature in here I wanted to show, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's these little locator pins, the little pins you can feel, and very helpful in an application like this where we're kind of upside down, because what I do is I depress that into the wood. It registers the location, so if I ever took it away, I could easily find the right spot for this to go again. So I fit this into the template, and I actually push it in a bit. Oh, now it's left a couple of marks there. When I put this back into place and I put the screw in, I know that it's home. So that's a little feature that helps you, particularly in this kind of application, which is not the most common application, but even when you're doing a horizontal application, very helpful. So keep that in mind and use these to your advantage. If ever you're putting those hub assemblies onto a post or a board and you notice that there's a knot directly below where that hole is and you're going to go right into a knot, I highly recommend that you take a small drill bit. This is an 1/8 inch drill bit, and I pre-drill, because you really do want these hubs to be perfectly aligned. They got to go where they got to go. And if you drill a screw in and it glances off of a knot, it's going to pull that hub assembly off and it's going to wreck your alignment. So there's a little knot up here. Now I know that because I pressed the dimple in there and it registered. It's perfect where I want it to be. I'm going to make sure when I drill the screw in, it goes exactly where I want it to go. And now I'm going to take my drill. I've got this at a fairly low torque setting here. I'm not trying to drive these home crazy. I want the torque setting to be just right. And that's how it works. So fairly low torque setting, easy, pre-drill if you hit some knots, and so far we're perfect. So now we're going to do the bottom rail here, and as I mentioned, this is a 4x4, up above was a 6x6. So I'm going to fold the template on the 4x4 line, which is right here, and that's going to center it exactly where I want it to be. And what I've done here is I've measured the exact center point. I'm going to put a light pencil mark there, and I'm going to align the center of that template right there. Okay. Now obviously when I'm in this position, it's a lot easier to screw these down like this as opposed to up over my head. As you can see, and I push down to make sure that locating pin embeds into the wood. and I've got this set at a 6 torque rating, so I'm not going to overdrive those screws or cause any other problems. And down we go. You could pre-drill if you wanted to. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't find it's necessary at this stage. I do pre-drill when I drill into the ends of the deck boards for the louvers, because you don't want to crack those. But this is pretty much the system, and the beauty is we know we are plumb with that hub directly above us. So we're just going to carry out and finish this assembly here, and then we're going to start installing louvers. It's going to look good, real good. Okay, we've cut all of these slats. These are 5/4 boards, inch thick, so you could use a composite board if you want, but we're using cedar. We've cut these to 1 3/4 inches shorter than the gap between this face and that face. Pretty easy to do. And then what we did is we put the slats into the hubs, up and down, fit it in the deck boards to make sure that it fit. And of course, if you're off, you can adjust the length. Now we're ready to install these. And these have 3 little holes here. And I'm going to pre-drill these. I'm going to pre-drill 1, 2, 3. The center hole here is actually the axle. So there's lots of purchasing power here, held in place well. I use I think it's an 1/8 inch drill bit. I center it visually. Come back with my other drill, set at the right torque setting. And I do this for every single one. This way I make sure that the holding power is perfect. The screws are perfectly aligned. And best of all, that you don't crack any boards. We have just installed all the slats on the ends of each deck board, each louver. And now we're going to insert them into the hubs and get this actual mechanism working. But you'll probably remember we've already screwed all these hub assemblies onto the lower 4x4 and up above. So no way am I going to be able to just fit that in and then jam that in. Because this is a vertical application, I am going to do it the easy way. I'm going to remove these hub assemblies here because it's going to be easier to work with gravity working with me rather than against me. I'm going to take this axle and I'm going to place it in one hub up here, slide this into place, and I'm going to put the bottom hub around it and then line it up with its original holes. And it's going to easily go back exactly where it was because of the screw holes and because of those locator pins that have put little depressions into the wood. So we'll do this one by one. You'll see how quick it goes and it'll be perfect. Let's go. Okay, we've just installed all the louvers, as you can see, and I've arranged them so that the back of the slat is facing me. So from the inside of the pergola, they're not going to observe any of this. And I want to show you, this is an actuator strip. There's a series of these. These are galvanized metal and then painted black, so they're going to last a long time, look good. Hard to see here, but what we've designed in this little bracket is a space, a little tiny space. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a gap between the bracket and the end of this deck board, just enough for one of these to go in. This is a nylon snap rivet. We're going to push these in. You can see the male end is upward. The actuator strip is going to fit over top, and lo and behold, we have the female right here. It's going to come in and lock it all together. So these are now all one, and then we're going to overlap the next actuator strip on this one and carry on. Okay, so you'll see how this works. It's a really elegant system. This one here, I'm just going to give you a little explanation. Because the 6x6 is a little bit wider than the 4x4, I'm going to have to it's going to be a little bit tricky. I'm going to use this little jackknife here to get in there and push that down. But there's plenty of room here to do it, so let's get on and let's have some fun. Okay, we've done it. We've installed all of the louvers here. We've got all the actuator strips connected. You can see they go in certain intervals, and every now and then we overlap them. Showed you how to do that. We've got a beautiful system here that's got just the right amount of friction so that when you want to stop it in the wind, it's not going to blow. And this is, now tomorrow what we're going to do is going to put a privacy panel right in here so that when these panels close, they close really close to this privacy panel. They'll just fit in there and it'll make it look finished. So here we are now, we've installed these louvers here, and I've gone ahead and I've put in privacy panels just to fill in the gap below the tri-top here, just to create a really nice little, as you can see here, fills in the gap nicely. Did the same thing on this side over here. We've put in the same sort of vertical louvers here, and you can adjust these. Like right now the sun is coming in. If I didn't like that, I could just go like that and you create this really nice cozy space. And in the gap here again, we put another deck board, another privacy panel here, and on both sides. So this has created like a really nice cozy little nook. And you could imagine maybe a fire pit or a table or some lounge chairs, whatever. This is the kind of intimacy that you can get with this kind of system. And the other thing we've done is we've lowered the roof, the height of the roof here. You probably noticed that a lot of times people build their pergolas and they're like super tall, 8.5, 9 feet tall, because the post doesn't go all the way into the connector and it adds on and adds on. What I intentionally did here is I made this around 7, I think it's around 7'9", just a little bit lower. So this here is around 7'4", maybe something like that. And it's just the perfect height so that when you're sitting down, you don't feel like there's this big cavernous space. So that's another little building tip that I would recommend you consider when you're building a pergola. So we're going to have this all roofed out by the end of the day today. And let's go have some fun, show you how this works.